How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have my very own 2016 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. And I've owned this car for about 2 weeks now, so I figured I'd give you guys an honest review about the car and why you shouldn't buy your own Hellcat. Up front, we have a 6.2 liter V8 engine with a 2.4 liter blower on it, which makes 707 horsepower. But they've been known to dyno a little bit higher, so Dodge kind of sold themselves short there a bit. And the only upgrade we have done to this car is an incognito pulley. It's just a little damper pulley that slips over your crank damper. It makes it about 7% larger, gives you 3 more pounds of boost. And you don't need to tune the ECU because it can adjust for that little bit extra boost. And they're rated for 40 or 50 extra horsepower. So we're working with about 750 horsepower in this car. It's followed by the 8-speed automatic, which is a VF trans. And it's very, very good. This thing shifts super solid. But the single downfall I find with the engine and the transmission combination is it only revs to 5950 from the factory. Which in my mind is like, you can get a Mustang that revs to 8,000. So it's kind of like, it's just a bit of mind games, but once you get into the power, it doesn't really make a difference. And then to stop the car, we have the big 15.4-inch rotors in the front and the 13.8-inch rotors in the rear with 6 pistons up front, 4 pistons in the back. So we definitely have a lot of braking power because this thing is a boat and it weighs just shy of 4,500 pounds from the factory. And I'll get into that a little bit later when we go for a drive with this thing. But more importantly, can you hook a Hellcat up from a dig? No, you can't. All right, some things to note here. The car does weigh 4,500 pounds, but it does seem to hide its weight really well. It does have magnetic suspension. So we go into the SRT mode and we press track. It actually puts it in track transmission. The paddle shifts come on. It gives you track suspension and traction control. So once you have everything stiffened up, the car does hold its weight a lot better. You do notice the weight a lot when you're using a floor jack or you're trying to accelerate. You can kind of feel how like it needs the power to pull the car. So, which does not mean this car is a slouch by any means. It just means we have to add more power. And because this thing is such a boat, it comes with a 70-liter tank. I don't know what that is for gallons in you America's peoples, but 70 liters is a lot of fuel. And then after filling this car up, and how much of a douchebag I drive like, my range for a full tank of fuel was right around 250 kilometers. Now the day I picked up this car, it was right around 0 degrees, which is like 32 for you guys. And because it's got a square setup, 275s on all 4 corners, the car doesn't really get traction. You're trying to put 700 horsepower through a 275 rear tire. I thought it was absolutely terrifying, and the question I was asking myself for a couple days was, why does anybody need 700 horsepower in a street car? And the answer's simple, it's fun. We're gonna get this down to around 40 kilometers an hour. We're gonna see if we can hook up from a little bit of a roll now that we have a little bit of heat in the tires here. All right, we're at 50, go. Spin, spin, spin. I don't think I'll ever get bored of that. Now, as I was saying, 700 horsepower, it's kind of silly in a street car. You can't really hook up at anything, let's just say under 60 kilometers an hour. So anywhere inside of a town, you're pretty much useless. You can't go from a stoplight. This can be modified with some better rear tires, but one cool option about this car is they give you 2 keys. They give you a red key, but they also give you a black key. The black key must be like a valet or a dealership key where you can put it on a 500 horsepower mode. You can actually access this through the menus as well. And what it does is it reduces boost from about 13 pounds of boost down to 7. And when we do that, and we retry our 50 km/h test. Let's just make a point and we'll go down to 35. And go! And just like that, you're having fun without burning the rear tires off. So the first couple of days I had the car, I actually used it in this 500 horsepower mode quite often, because as going from stoplight to stoplight inside of traffic, you can still get on it, but you won't blow the tires off, and it still accelerates just as hard, which is kind of neat and really fun. So if you're just looking to drive from stoplight to stoplight in town, the 500 horsepower mode is pretty awesome. Now this car does have an active exhaust where it has some sort of butterfly valve in the exhaust where it doesn't open until about 3,500 RPM. So if you want to be quiet, you can be quiet, and then if you want to get on it, it kind of gets a bit louder, but it's not obnoxiously loud. Which brings me to my next point. This thing is an excellent cruiser. So as someone thankfully pointed out to me, this car has kind of like a Cadillac-y cruiser feel to it, whereas the seats are really big. They're made for a fat guy. A fat guy can get in here. There's tons of room for everything, and you just feel like you're on a boat. There's no more ironic saying than you're on a boat. Some people will sacrifice their drivability stuff to give themselves more handling and performance, where Dodge kind of did it. You can have 750 horsepower on the front, but you can still be in your little comfort zone and enjoy the cruise and listen to some music. Which brings me to my next point. The stereo system in this thing is freaking bumping. All I know is that there's 2 subwoofers in the back and there's a ton of speakers around you. And if you want to turn this thing up and just pound the music and cruise like I love to do, let me show you something. Moving too fast, candy paint with the windows all black, seats creme brulee. But that's nothing compared to the blower whine. So what I did is I took my microphone and I put it up next to the air intake here, and just listen to it. Man, that'll never get old. And that's just with a stock air intake. It gets exponentially louder when you go like a cold air intake with just a K&N filter, which will be in the upgrade plans for this thing. Now, one of the biggest things with this car, which should not be overlooked, is the price point. You can get into one of these for relatively cheap for the amount of car that you do get. If you spend your time looking and you find the right deal, this 2016 can be had for around $61,000. That's what I paid for this one, and the conversion rate equals to somewhere between 41,000 to 45,000 US. Now that's a ton of car for that amount of money. And if you find one low kilometers like I did, you have a car with 32,000 kilometers on it, and this one came with an extended warranty, so I'm actually covered until 115,000 kilometers or 2023, which is crazy that you have 700 horsepower with warranty, and the car can do a reported 11-second quarter mile. So this car does come with something called the performance pages. Much like new cars, it gives you all your cool timers, and you can see what your quarter mile time is and what your best is and what your current is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out what our quarter mile time is right now. So from a dead stop, let's see if we can hook up. Nope, we just did a 8th mile burnout. Let's try that again. You're almost better leaving traction control on in this car because it does knock it back a little bit, but it is a lot better. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna roll out to about 100 feet and then I'm gonna hit it. There we go! Let's go! So we managed to do an 11.7 at 202 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in miles per hour, but dang, that was really unexpected actually. 11.7 on street tires. This probably isn't the best gauge of distance, and it'll work better once we get a draggy, but That's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. And kind of nervous at the same time because I didn't have my radar up and I was like... Now I understand the HELLCAT's not going to do it for everybody, and to me the car is actually really aesthetically pleasing in the front, the back not so much, but it's such a unique car in that you don't have to sacrifice any comfort, and it's super, super nice to drive daily and still have so much horsepower without having like all the loud noises and stuff. I mean, some people probably love the loud noises, but if you just want a nice cruiser daily and then have 700 horsepower on tap, this is definitely a good car to have. So I hope you guys enjoy my video. I've been enjoying the last 2 weeks with this car. I think I put like 1,000 miles on it in the last 2 weeks. I've been through a couple tanks of fuel. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and peace easy and get to FV.